I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack. Wack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff.
Whoa,
God damn,
Because
been 3
obviously
years.
you ain't going to court because you was going to court. Every time you go to court, they gonna let us know you going to court. So
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an open gun
what
case,
about
fool.
the gun case, bull?
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an open gun case.
They will give you your time.
Wack that told him that though. Because his statement is
Wack 100 been out here screaming snitch for years like it's his full-time job. But now, a wiretap just leaked, and folks say 21 Savage might be the one who dropped it. And suddenly, everybody's dragging up that old 2005 federal gun case Wack was caught up in. So now the question is, what if Wack been playing both sides this whole time? Picture it, the man been barking at everybody, calling folks rats nonstop, then boom, his own closet door creaks open and something slips out, real quick, a little flash. But it wasn't money, it wasn't clout, it looked like a badge.
Wack that told him that though. Because his statement is
Just for a second, but that 1 second might have been all it took to flip his whole reputation upside down. Now, whether it was actually a badge or not, that's not even the wildest part. The real twist, it might have been 21 Savage who leaked that video. Not just passed it around, not just reposted it, leaked it. Word in the streets is that 21 been sitting on this bombshell for a minute, just waiting for the right moment. And honestly, can you even blame him? Wack been dragging 21's name through the dirt for years, calling him a snitch, saying he cooperated with ICE just to keep his visa, even throwing him into the mix with the whole YSL situation. He kept it chill, threw a few words back, then stayed quiet. But this move right here, that wasn't shade, that was straight up chess. While Wack been sneak dissing him all over Clubhouse like it's his personal gossip radio, 21 hit back with one silent strike, no words, just a cold drop. And now everybody's watching Wack sideways. And let's be real, this ain't the first time someone linked Wack to the feds. Just a few months ago, when Big U got hit with them RICO charges, he popped up in a video calling Wack out. Said Wack was working with the FBI on camera.
And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack. Wack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff.
But here's where it gets even shadier. Before the RICO case even went public, before the arrest, before the indictment, before the court docs even showed up, Wack already knew. He hit up Big U's wife with a message like 911, he needs to get out of there. Like, how would he know unless he was tapped in with the people bringing the hammer down? This one's bad, real bad. Before Big U even got cuffed, Wack already hitting up his wife like he had a crystal ball. That don't sound like a warning. That sounds like a setup with a side of guilt. Like he knew exactly what was about to go down because maybe he helped set the whole thing in motion. Then right after Big U got booked, Wack ran to the internet like always, flapping his mouth wild. Instead of keeping it low, he flipped the whole thing. Started accusing Big U of being the one doing shady moves. Claimed he was using a BlackBerry to talk to the feds. Like seriously? That's what you call classic deflection.
I'm going through it. I said, yeah, I don't know nothing about this. He said, man, y'all too tight. I see Big U signature. I see other signatures. I'm reading it. And what shook me was the police issued device to communicate with law enforcement in form of a BlackBerry.
But here's the thing. It only made folks side-eye Wack harder. Like, how come you always the first one to know when trouble's coming, Wack? Why is it you always standing at the scene of the fire, but somehow never smell like smoke? That call to Big U's wife ain't feel like no kind of favor. It felt like Wack trying to play double agent, tip off the same man he might have helped line up, staying real close to the flames, but never getting burned himself. That's when folks really started looking at him sideways, started thinking maybe Wack ain't the tough industry watchdog he pretends to be. Maybe he's the one watching for the cops because he's already sitting with them.
All right, so yeah, after you got that message, after you got the message, you hit up Big U's wife. You said, sis, 911. One sec, let me get solo. And you gave him a heads up.
What I tell him?
You said, one sec, let me get solo. He needs to leave. Bad. In caps, all caps. He needs to leave.
I said so bad, right?
Yeah, full bad.
But this whole mess, it goes way deeper, all the way back to a sketchy situation in 2005. Word is, Wack and his brother got pulled over in Texas. Nothing crazy at first, just a regular speeding stop. Cops ask questions, Wack says they're heading to a funeral in Oklahoma, but when officers ask to search the car, Wack says no, so they bring out the K9 unit. That's when it gets real. The dog sniffs out 3 loaded weapons, a shotgun, a rifle, and a pistol. And Wack and his brother were already convicted felons. That should have been federal time immediately. No questions asked. That kind of bust shuts down careers on sight. But somehow, Wack posts bail, heads back to LA like nothing ever happened. Then it gets even weirder. 2 years go by, total silence. No court updates, no jail time. Then out of nowhere, the whole case gets tossed. And not because of some missing paperwork or weak evidence. The court said it was dismissed in the interest of justice. Now hold up, anybody who knows how the system moves, especially when it comes to felons and firearms, knows that ain't normal. That phrase ain't something you hear in gun cases. It's the kind of language they use when someone behind the scenes pulled major strings or cut a serious deal. That kind of dismissal don't just show up in court papers out of nowhere. Not in a case like that. This wasn't no lucky break or act of mercy. Dismissed in the interest of justice usually means one thing. Somebody gave something up. Years later, Wack tried to downplay it, claimed the case got tossed because the cops searched his car illegally, but that story, straight cap. The court records were public, and there wasn't one single mention of an unlawful search. No technicalities, no procedural errors, just a clean, quiet dismissal. And the timing of it all, that's what really makes this whole thing feel spooky. Just a couple years after Wack skated on that gun case, his old boss at death row, Suge Knight, started catching serious heat from the feds. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Suge got hit with a gang injunction and the walls started closing in. His whole circle got torn apart. Wiretaps, raids, names showing up in paperwork, but somehow, Wack, his name was never there. Not even once. Then came the whole Main Street Crips case, tied to that crazy kidnapping connected to Shaquille O'Neal. In the transcripts, there was this name, Back, popping up, leaving voicemails, making calls, acting like a middleman. And guess what the street's been saying for years? That Back was really Wack 100 using a coded alias. Fast forward to now, Wack is everywhere online, acting like the street's moral compass. Pointing fingers at everybody, Gunna, BG, Brick Baby, 21 Savage, even Jay Diggs. Always calling folks out like he's the one who decides who's solid and who's not.
I'm gonna give you some time. I don't know, 24 hours, 12 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 1 hour. I don't know. I'm gonna give you some time though, Gunna, for you to go ahead on and confess.
But if we're keeping it real, the 2005 case still don't sit right. Let's break it down. You don't walk away from a federal gun charge as a convicted felon with 3 loaded weapons in your trunk unless one of 2 things happened. You either hit the jackpot of legal luck or you made a deal. So when that new video popped up showing what looked like a police ID peeking out of Wack's wallet, folks weren't just shocked, they started connecting the dots. That clip brought everything back. Not just the badge, not just the drama, but that same old question that's been sitting in the dark for nearly 20 years. What did Wack give up to walk away squeaky clean? And that's wild, considering his whole image, his whole brand, been built off exposing others, screaming snitch at anybody with paperwork. But now, folks are asking, who's really hiding something? There's one word Wack 100 loves more than anything: snitch. That's his go-to insult. The second a rapper gets locked up or cops a plea, Wack's already on Clubhouse yelling like he caught him in 4K. He did it with Gunna, claimed he had a 2-hour interrogation tape and even threatened to leak it unless Gunna confessed. But guess what? The tape never came out. All talk, no receipts, just noise. Then he came for BG, a man who already did over 10 years behind bars. Claimed he snitched too, but not a single shred of paperwork ever showed up. Even BG's old cellmate came forward saying BG held it down, never folded once. But did that stop Wack? Nope. He kept talking, kept pushing that same tired story with zero proof. And yeah, to people who don't look too deep, it might sound like Wack's out here policing the streets, keeping things real, but to the folks really paying attention, they started to see the pattern. Wack gets loudest when he's under pressure. Every single time there's heat on his name, he flips the narrative, starts pointing fingers and dragging somebody else's name through the mud. But here's where it gets even more suspicious. Wack records everybody, every conversation, every debate, every little back and forth. Now ask yourself, why? Real ones don't move like that. You don't keep receipts unless you're planning to use them or hand them over. And now people are putting it together. Some of the same rappers Wack dragged onto Clubhouse, they ended up catching cases. Look at Loose Cannon. He hopped on Clubhouse, said way too much, then boom, he got jammed up not long after. Coincidence? Maybe, but it's got folks wondering, was Wack setting people up to talk reckless? Was he baiting them, recording everything and letting prosecutors connect the rest? The way these convos go viral, the way drama gets stirred up right when he needs to deflect, it's all starting to feel too coordinated. Not everything's solid proof, but that pattern, it's getting real hard to ignore. Now let's talk about how Wack been turning the game into a stage for his own show. He's not just out here calling people snitches, he built a whole persona off it. Every clubhouse room, every viral clip, every time someone else takes a fall, Wack's voice is somewhere in the background, throwing shots, acting like judge and jury. But here's what people are starting to notice. Wack don't move like a street vet. He moves like a man with an agenda. Peep this. Behind closed doors, he's cozy with execs, building industry connections, getting close to artists' teams, and then out of nowhere, leaks start popping up. Private convos hit the net. Personal business goes public. Somehow he always has the drop before anyone else. Remember the Blueface and Chrysian Rock mess? Wack was all up in it, spilling details, dragging both of them online, making sure every second of drama stayed viral. He claimed he was trying to manage it, but it looked way more like he was fanning the flames for clout. Same thing when it came to Nipsey Hussle. Wack stirred up massive controversy when he said Nip wasn't a legend, not right after his death, but right when the world was still mourning. That ain't just bad timing, that's strategy. Say something wild, draw all the attention, and now suddenly Wack's name is trending again. And let's not forget that time he got caught up in the mess with Tekashi. Out of all the people in the industry, Wack was the one who sat down with Tekashi on camera. He said it was for business, but the streets didn't see it that way. They saw a man who built his rep on calling out snitches, sitting next to the most infamous one of all time. So what's really going on here? Because it's starting to look like Wack ain't just pointing fingers. He's playing a role. He's making noise, creating chaos, stirring up drama, and getting paid off every headline. He talks about loyalty, but at the same time, he's pushing narratives, recording convos, and turning real-life beef into online entertainment. That's not street, that's strategy. And if all this is really a game to him, then the people he's targeting, they were just pawns. At some point, you gotta pause and really look at the pattern. That leaked video didn't come out of thin air. It was just the match that lit a fire that's been smoldering since 2005. A case that mysteriously disappeared. No charges, no consequences, like it never happened. Then there's the Rico situation. Somehow Wack knew before the feds even made a move. Wiretaps, secret recordings, that glimpse of a badge. The way he records people like he's building a private archive. This ain't just messy, it's calculated. And the deeper folks dig into the timeline, the clearer it gets. He's been hiding in plain sight. Look at it. Every time someone else's name is on the chopping block, he's the first to speak on it. Loud, aggressive, calling them snitches. But if they really were, where's the paperwork? Where's the proof? Now flip that. Every time a case gets dropped out of nowhere, every time the feds show up already knowing too much, one name keeps circling the situation. Wack. That's what makes this different. This ain't just about proving he might be working with law enforcement. It's about asking, what does it mean if he really is? What does that say about the stories we buy into? About the people we put on pedestals? About who gets the mic and who gets silenced? People laugh about it on Twitter and in comment sections, call it entertainment, but this ain't a joke. Not when real lives are being affected, not when people are catching cases, losing deals, or getting locked up after speaking on Clubhouse or getting too close to Wack's circle. He spent years calling everybody else a rat, but now the spotlight's spinning around. People are asking if the loudest voice in the room was wired from the very beginning, and if that's true, then this whole game might have been rigged from the jump. And the wildest part, he's still talking, still popping up on live, stirring drama, dropping hints. But now, whatever he says next might be the final piece, the one that blows the whole thing wide open. If you made it this far, you're a real one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments, because we want to know what you think about all this. Is Wack playing the streets or playing for the other side? Catch you in the next one. Stay locked in.